with Toronto Fire Services, and I'm here to welcome you to another live at Station 424 YouTube Fire Safety broadcast. Today, we're going to be talking about student fire safety. Specifically, we're going to be talking about how to ensure that where students reside and rest while they're studying, we want to make sure that they're safe. So, we're going to be having a couple of public educators to help me out today. We end up having Greg Moore and also Mike Ross. They're two fine gentlemen, and we're going to be talking about that today. As this is a live YouTube broadcast, please enter in your questions below, and we're going to get to those questions at the end of the actual broadcast. So please join us, be involved, get us some information on that. So let's get started. Gentlemen?
Yeah, hi everybody. Thank you, Captain, for the introduction. As Captain mentioned, we are here today. My name is Greg, and tonight right here is Mike. We're here today to talk a little bit about student fire safety. Okay, we want to make sure that students go back to school. I know that the college university semesters have started up now, so we want to make sure that you're being safe. Okay, we're going to talk about some things you can do to prevent fires in your living space. As well, we're going to talk about a couple things that you can look for in the space to make sure that it is as safe as possible. Okay, so one thing we're going to focus on is cooking safety. If you ever want to put water on a grease fire. Okay, if any of the viewers at home have seen what happens when we put water on a grease fire, it's actually more or less an explosion. Okay, so we definitely don't want that happening in our homes. Okay, the best thing we want you to do is just put a lid or a baking sheet, something on top of the pot, and then turn the stove off. Okay, that's going to take that oxygen away from the fire, and fire needs oxygen to grow, and if you take away that oxygen, the fire will go out. Okay? Also, under the influence of drugs and alcohol, we want to make sure that we're not going to be doing any cooking. Okay? If we've had a few drinks or something, or even if we're on medication that can make us drowsy or sleepy, kind of impair our functions at all, we want to make sure that we're not going to do any cooking at all. There's lots of options out there nowadays, whether it's ordering a pizza or using our smartphones to order takeout, delivery food. Stick to those services and try to avoid cooking if we're under the influence of either alcohol or drugs.
Absolutely. Now, as Greg said, the cooking is the #1 cause of fires.
Fire safety concerns involved when someone does something like that. So we really want to make sure that the places we're going to be looking at, the places we may potentially be signing a lease for, we want to make sure that this place is safe. So we're going to talk about a few different things that we can do, some things we're going to look for when we're potentially looking at a new place to live.
Yeah, it's something you can look for. You may already be in the home, so go through it again if you didn't get a chance to go through it the first time. So I want to talk about electrical. Make sure that when you go into your home, that you take a look for outlets. One outlet in a bedroom, probably not going to work for your lifestyle. I know it wouldn't work for mine. Maybe only an outlet or two in the living room if you want to use gaming systems and TVs, lights. You can't be running extension cords everywhere. So make sure that you have enough outlets for your lifestyle. Speaking about outlets, when you go into a washroom or any outlets by a sink, such as in the kitchen, they should be of GFCI type outlets. So there's usually a little
wall studs. That's not a good sign, okay? If there's a fire potentially in the unit next to you or a fire in the unit above you, there's a good chance that the fire could potentially spread into your unit easily without having that drywall there. So that's something that definitely we want to keep a lookout for. And fire safety at the end of the day really does start with you, okay? If you're at home and you're thinking, I just signed a lease to a place and I'm not sure if it's safe or not, think about what we're saying here, okay? And, kind of take some initiative and try and figure out if it is safe. Go back, take a look, make sure it's safe, okay?
Now, many of us might use candles out there. And the best way to prevent that from ever starting a fire is never leave a room with a lit candle. Always blow it out before you go out. Always place it on a steady surface or in a proper candle holder so that if it falls over, all of that wax and flame can be trapped within the plate or the surrounding area. Allow for 12 inches of space around candles. Unless you have an even bigger one, then give it even more space. Kind of double the amount of space as the candle is tall, just to ensure that you don't have anything go wrong.
Yeah, I'll add too that there are alternatives for you as well. If you really love candles and you really feel they're an important aspect of your life and you really want to use them, there are alternatives.
The landlord needs to replace them, but you're the one that needs to test them. And to test it, all you have to do is hold down a test button. We hear that noise, we can go on to the next smoke alarm. Simply hold that down for approximately 3 seconds, listen for the noise, and do that every single month that you're living in your home. Something else you want to do with these is change the batteries every 6 months. So when you change your clocks, change the batteries on your smoke alarm. And they're also only good for about 10 years. Now there's usually a date on the side or on the back. Your landlord will look after that, but for your own safety, you should take a look so that you know if your devices are safe.
Yeah. Something to remember as well is that tampering with, disabling a smoke alarm is unlawful. It's against the law in the province of Ontario. Okay, so under any circumstances, we never ever want to take that battery out or disable the smoke alarm. Now, something that we can do, something that's kind of fun that you can do with your roommates, if you live on your own, you can do this by yourself. If you have pets, you can include your pets in this sort of activity. So what this is called a home escape plan. So what I want you to do is get a piece of paper, kind of draw out a schematic drawing. Draw out where you live, whether it's an apartment, a house, doesn't matter. Draw out where you live, and then draw some arrows on there. These 2 arrows showing how you're going to get out, okay, in an emergency. We want to make sure that you have at least 2 ways out of every room. Once you've done that, it's key to practice it, okay? We want to make sure that you're going to practice that home escape plan. Practice makes perfect, and in an emergency, maybe sometimes that little bit of panic can set in, you can be a little disoriented. We want to make sure that that information is fresh in our minds and that we know exactly what to do in an emergency.
You can even post it in your home too for any visitors that come over.
Absolutely.
Just so that they can take a look at it and be aware that you have a plan, and gives them some almost a little practice or a little knowledge before they might have to evacuate.
Yeah, if you live in a high-rise building, a multi-unit dwelling, and they're practicing fire drills, it's a good idea to participate in those fire drills, right? Familiarize yourself with where the stairwells are. In a fire, unfortunately, the elevator won't work, so we want to make sure we know where those stairwells are and we have a safe way to get out.
Now, a little bit about what we talked about today. We did talk about cooking. It is the #1 cause of fire, so always remember, look while you cook. Always stay in the kitchen anytime you have something going on that stove. When it comes to smoking, do your best, smoke outside and use those non-combustible ashtrays, so something made of metal or glass. When it comes to electrical, have enough outlets. When it comes to charging phones or batteries, never charge them on a bed, charge them on a hard surface, something that is non-flammable, a desk, that would be a great option. Never charge them in your bed, they could overheat.
Also, remember to check those smoke alarms, okay? Smoke alarms save lives. So check those smoke alarms, make sure they're current, make sure they're not expired. If you haven't changed the batteries, or put some new batteries in, okay? Make sure it works, and like I said, prepare that home escape plan, and practice it.
And when it comes to smoking, the one thing we didn't mention, but before we go, we have these 2 banners behind us. Don't ever flick your cigarette butts off of a balcony, out of a window. Always put
outside of the sleeping area, and at least one on every level of your home. Okay, so it doesn't have to be right above the stove. Just move it, and that may reduce some of those nuisance alarms. Okay?
Excellent. Our next question was from Ruben, and his daughter's going to be going to university soon. And he found your information about finding an appropriate place for her to reside very interesting. But is there kind of like a pamphlet or a checklist that he can refer to? Because when he's going to go in there, he's not going to remember what we discussed today.
Right.
So is there almost like a list or a pamphlet that we can get to? And how do we get it?
Yeah, so I know that it is a lot of information, but thankfully we do have this safe student housing checklist. Okay, so in here, it's a simple checklist, right? If you're walking through a new space, a space that you're maybe already renting, or a space that you're potentially going to rent in the future, you can get one of these, just kind of go through it, check the boxes, yes or no. Okay, if any of the boxes are checked no, it might not be a safe place to live, okay? So you can always reach out to Toronto Fire Services if you have any questions, or if you haven't leased the place yet, maybe look for somewhere else to live. Now, this information is available at a lot of our fire stations, and if you're unable to make it out there, we understand everyone is isolating, trying to social distance. It is also available on our website. It's The website is www.toronto.ca/fire. So you can go there, check it out. The pamphlet is there. Okay. All this information is available in several languages as well.
Excellent.
Multicultural city like Toronto. Not everyone English is not everyone's first language, so the information is there for you.
Perfect.
Our last question that we have is from Steve from North York. He's already had a place which he already had rented for his son. Now, he's beginning to wonder now, is that place safe? Because he was doing the mental checklist on his mind now as he was watching the video, but now he's wondering, is there anyone who he can call to do an inspection, and how do we go about that? Is that available to us?
Absolutely. You can, so anywhere in Toronto, you can call 311. So it's a hotline for the city to get in touch with